Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now, for the first time, we are bringing to you the full story of what happened on that fateful day.
Boriska, we're going to talk to you while you play your game, okay?
Ты будешь
Do you
играть в
mind?
игру, а мы тебе будем задать вопросы. Окей?
Окей.
And we want to know why you came to this planet.
Мы бы хотели знать, почему
You
ты
know.
оказался на этой планете. Ты знаешь об этом?
Ну, это переселение душ. Меня там убивали. Ну, на Марсе всех убивали.
Everybody was killed on Mars, actually.
И, короче, там, короче, марсиане, из-за того, что душ там мало, да? Используют такие особые камни, которые притягивают души.
And so Mars people use special stones to attract souls because there are not so many souls on Mars.
And your soul they're tracking?
А как с твоей душой было?
Ну, наверное, они разбили эти камни. И, короче, не только там моя душа, еще там много душ. Не погибли, люди погибли, марсиане в смысле, и переселились.
So there were lots of souls in the stones, and some stones got broken somehow, you know, and then the souls from the stones all together came to Earth.
The souls from the stones. How
Yeah.
do you mean?
So there were, he explained a little bit earlier. So there was this stones. In these stones were trapped the souls, attracted, you know, and then some stones got broken, and then the souls from the stones came to Earth.
Is that how you came to Earth?
Это именно так ты, да, попал на Землю?
Угу.
Yeah.
Придумали эти камни.
So Mars
Не
people
хватало воинов.
had to invent these stones because they lacked peoples for war.
Yeah, Mars specifically.
There is something about Mars that changes our entire attitude at that time. I know one person who point blank says they better leave Mars alone. Leave it alone.
Meaning, leave it alone, don't talk about it, or meaning don't go there?
Don't go. That they're waking something up.
On Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're still a psychic when you
Sure.
say. Okay. So you must have some thoughts or associations with Mars. Are you willing to talk about that? I mean, because I know that you said that you develop headaches sometimes after these talks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you reveal and kind of go back in your own mind as to your history.
I'm having a good one right now. Headaches are part of the conditioning.
Sure.
Okay, it's a headache, but it's a fake headache. It's a programmed headache.
I'd like to know if you see special machinery.
Yes,
Okay.
it's underground.
Uh-huh. And have you seen any certain kind of beings there?
Yes, they're in stasis.
It's like a kind of artificially induced hibernation.
Thank you.
And is that it's not humans that are in that state?
No.
It's the beings.
And they're very tall. They have long features.
Do they look like the Egyptian
Quite a bit.
believers? Okay.
Quite a bit.
Talk a lot about.
Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 of this news bulletin for today, August 20th, 2012. My website's ggnonline.com, and I'm ready to go. So, I included those videos, pretty kind of off-the-wall stuff, I guess. I don't much trust Carrie Cassidy, but the people that she interviews, I don't know, it's just worth putting into consideration when I heard about them going after the rocks and stuff like that. I know it's all about geology, but still, for whatever it's worth, I put it out there because there's a lot of tension on Mars right now. Just recently, from August 9th, Mars crater looks Earth-like, so That's the picture that they had up there, saying the ancient Martian crater where the Curiosity rover landed, looking strikingly similar to California's Mojave Desert with its looming mountains and hanging haze, scientists say. So the first impression that you get is how Earth-like it seems. And this is the other thing that's been coming up for the past couple of years, more so recently. Martian gullies sprinkled with icy glitter, says a big picture. It says one of the latest pictures aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter shows a picture with the rugged surface of these inner slopes are coated with a thin layer of frost, most likely water ice that's condensed from what small amount of moisture happens to be in the air. I think recently you've had one of the countries, I'm not sure if it was China or something like that, they basically did a simulation of going to Mars, and I think they're still on it. It's like a 4-year training exercise. So Northern California fires rout thousands. So again, with the wildfires, quote, wildfires in Northern California were threatening more than 3,500 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate Sunday night. Dry conditions are contributing to the Ponderosa fire's rapid spread. The timber is tinder dry, he said. And followed by that, we have Idaho. Evacuations have been ordered. Washington residents go home. So moving on to this, thunderstorms and lightning threaten fire officials. Plans to contain a large blaze in central Washington state as hundreds of Washington and California residents returned home to find out whether homes were spared. So in Idaho, they issued a mandatory evacuation for 350 homes. Well, when it comes down to it, they're actually not mandatory. They can't force the people out. But they say it's mandatory in the mainstream media. It says here, record heat, drought pose problems for U.S. electric power. One of the reactors at the Millstone nuclear power station had to shut down when temperatures in the Long Island Sound, its source of cooling water, became too warm. So this is a pattern I've seen recently. Heat shuts down a coastal reactor. This is in Waterford, Connecticut. Shut down because something in the 1916 designers have never anticipated. The water was too warm to cool it. Then fire broke out at Torness nuclear power station East Lothian, and I believe this is in the UK. But 5 U.S. nuclear reactors shut down in the past 3 days. That's right, one in Minnesota on the 14th, another in Minnesota on the 14th, and Maryland on the 12th, Michigan on the 12th, and Connecticut, along with the ones I was talking about. And nuclear radiation on San Francisco's Treasure Island, it says here, we don't need to know apparently. So it goes on here, it says the government created Treasure Island from fill, and I guess that's landfill, I'm not sure, in 1937, and connected to it Bueno Island, an overgrown rock in the middle of Bay Bridge. Basically, it became a Navy base. But it goes on here, and it says here, despite all the indications that it could have radium and stuff like that, it goes on and it says that 2,800 people, oblivious to what was buried on the island, move into housing units they rented from the Navy, so they're scheduled to break ground on a high-rise complex next year. So the population could swell to 20,000. And lastly, after World War II, Treasure Island became a training center for nuclear decontamination. And I've covered this before. Iodine pills have been distributed to people living near nuclear plants in Pennsylvania. So, and lastly, on the nuclear plant front, private firm being hired to run Fort Calhoun, and this is in Nebraska. So it says here the Omaha Public Power District has decided to hire out-of-state experts to run the troubled Fort Calhoun nuclear station near Omaha. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out too with the nuclear plants was along the Mississippi. There's some along the Mississippi here, and it just made me wonder, besides just the earthquakes, causing a possible damage, the New Madrid fault line and that, you have what? The Mississippi right now is at a record low. So you have salt water wedges going up from Louisiana up north, and the water is probably, warmer. So, again, there's a good indicator that there could be more problems with these nuclear plants in the Mississippi. Then they have West Nile virus in the spraying. Cities, counties nationwide begin mass aerial sprayings of toxic anti-West Nile virus pesticides. So it says here that residents in Dallas are being forcibly sprayed with toxic insecticides as part of a government effort to supposedly eradicate mosquitoes that may be carriers of the West Nile virus. And dear Dallas, no one's ever proved West Nile disease exists. It says here that there's no evidence that the supposed virus causing West Nile even exists. That means that there's no proof West Nile disease exists. And it says this fact has been known for years. It says here, regardless, they involve blanketing entire areas with chemicals sprayed via airplanes, a highly controversial protocol that threatens not only other insects, including bees and animals exposed, but also humans. And they use the same logic too. I'll get to that right here. Because of what? A soft veil of descending pesticide for Dallas. They're spraying Duet. So it says here, as the first plane flew over at about 11:05, a baby coyote wandered across Walnut Hill. It was startled by either a reporter or the airplane, and immediately turned around and ran back into the bushes, where it will no longer, or no doubt, enjoy the sweet smell of Duet the rest of the night. And they're talking about the stuff that they're spraying with. I find that kind of ironic, Duet, right? Because it's not going to just kill animals, insects. It's going to slowly kill humans too. So it's a duet. And when you go into the actual front label for this product, it says that it does not harm humans, but it will harm lower aquatic animals. Now that's the same thing, the same argument that was made by scientists back in the 60s or 50s about the spraying of aerosols and silver iodide. It only harms lower aquatic animals. But it doesn't really matter. Texas officials defend West Nile spraying, so of course they're going to defend it, right? Remember what I said? Even if the people in Tennessee were concerned, they don't give a shit. They're still going to spray you because you're a pest. So it's here the aerial spraying of pesticide to blunt a deadly outbreak. Deadly, I think 17 people have died, of mosquito-borne West Nile virus in Texas, Dallas County doesn't pose a health risk. So it's a pretty bold claim, isn't it? They got a lot of balls there to say it doesn't pose any health risk at all. Said it's considered, this aerial spraying is considered the most effective and safest way to kill adult mosquitoes in heavily populated areas. But it doesn't make sense because, just like the aerial spraying that they do already every day, i.e. chemtrails, weather modification, all sorts of defense applications, they don't. I mean, did you get a note in the mail? Did you get a slip asking whether you want to opt out? I didn't get an opt-out slip for the chemtrails. I'm sure these guys in Texas aren't getting an opt-out slip for this West Nile spraying, aerial spraying. But the sad part is that just like everything with fluoride and vaccines, it targets younger people easily, I guess you could say. Adults, usually when they get older, they could have more of they have a stronger immune system. They just have a stronger ability to fight this stuff. But the younger people, it attacks their brains. That's what it does. And it basically kills brain neurons. But, the sad part, I guess, is that's part of the goal. So, eugenics agenda behind the advancement towards male contraceptive pills. So, eugenicists have successfully developed a birth control pill for men. They call it JQ1. And it says here the chemical cocktail stunts sperm production in mice. And I remember the article I covered before in the past about the exploding sperm. So, they have that as well. Genetically engineering ethical babies is a moral obligation, says Oxford professor. So he says genetically screening our offspring to make them better people is just responsible parenting, claims an Oxford academic. So it says here creating so-called designer babies could be considered a moral obligation as it makes them grow up into ethically better children. So the, quote, experts want to screen out personality flaws, which they define, of course, in their children, as it's meant they were less likely to harm themselves and others. Yeah, he's talking about it would help lead to a better, more intelligent, less violent society in the future. So, of course, the government, would that mean that it would be less violent? Because that's how they carry out their authority over everybody, is by the threat of violence or use of violence. So, the thing to look here is that there's different genes, there's different people. The main thing I'd like to make is the warriors gene, and people have it, and scientists know about this, and they want to weed that out so that nobody basically stands up to the state. So they want to weed out those genes in people that are going to fight back and resist. That's why right now they're declaring it as actual disorder to resist authority. So of course they say we should allow the parents the choice, but eventually they're not going to have a choice, right? Just like opting out of getting sprayed. So here, this says it all. If we have the power to intervene in the nature of our offspring rather than consigning them to the, quote, natural lottery, then we should. And if you do have faith in God and afterlife, I'm not saying that you're bad if you don't, but if you do, you know that there's a natural order to things, and there's always a reason for things. So it's not like a freaking lottery like they're saying. But it is about bringing down the male and feminizing him and stand down, which is why I think sports was created. So they want to know, do football fans love their team more than their partners? See, they study this, the engineer, to cut up pictures of their loved ones.